Hello everyone, my name is Osayaba with Showcase Africa. Showcase Africa is the channel that showcases Africa through the main lens of fashion, but I bring in other topics just around fashion. Today, we're going to talk about something in the past. Remember I told you I'm using just pieces from my collection when it comes to outfits, jewelry, bags, etc. Today, I want to pay tribute again to my mother of blessed memory. If she were alive, she turned 100 years this year. I was her seventh child. We come originally from Edo State, so I'm going to talk about the up and down and the whole outfit I have today in this video. So come along. The up and down outfit, I don't think is one people are very familiar with globally. Okay, so let me talk about that. In Edo State of Nigeria, we are kind of in the middle of the country. So we wear Iro and Buba from the west mainly, and then coming from Midwest all the way to the east, we wear what you say are called up and down. The actual wrap is up and down, but there's always a top and then, of course, the head tie. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to model this for you. Everything I have on, the outfit I have on today belonged to my mother. So come along. And here is the full outfit, what we call the up and down. It's understood that it will be two wrappers and a top for this particular outfit. Now let me talk about how it was worn then. Then, because the outfit itself, the width of the fabric was maybe about 35. I'm saying from here to here because they had to join the piece here. So what you see in the lower part is the joining of some piece because they thought nobody will see this. But then they take the extra and put it on the top wrapper. So here we have the up and then the down, and you could tie it various ways. Some people let this go almost lower this way with the down. Some people will bring it up a bit more. So it was just a stylistic thing for people or how your organization, you know, Africa is big, Nigeria with women's organization, especially during my mother's time. And then you choose a top that will pick out the color. Telling you more about this particular up and down, I think it was specially ordered because look at the Nigerian flag. So it may have been used for Independence Day. But then I'm not quite sure why the bell maybe spoke of freedom or the people who did it, this is what they picked. So I also picked the head tie that has the bell. This head tie in those days, Hayes, was the high-end head tie imported. I wonder why we were not making this. So here, we're looking at this up and down. Then I added the coral beads. This is the way my mother would have dressed maybe to church or to a function in those days. And this is my own piece right here. Of course, I got coral bead from my mom, which I'll wear for another outfit. And I have a video that talks about the Edos and coral beads. So please make sure you watch that video. So now I'm going to show you another design from my collection that belonged to my mother. And this is another up and down outfit from my mother. So here, you could tie this up and down. This is the up in a stylistic way. It just depends on what you want. And here, right here, down and the up. Same measurements as the first one, like I told you. One of the things I think is replicated now in today's fashion is how when we talked this initially, this will kind of hang out, and you'll see that kind of flowy hang down here in a lot of the current fashion of Nigeria. Again, I think this up and down here was specially ordered for Independence Day celebration. Okay, right here. And look at the horse. They took one, I think it represents the coat of arms of Nigeria. I'll put all the explanation up there. And I wanted to just use white. This is mine from years ago, but just for the purpose of modeling this, to just know that she probably would have worn a white top or blouse with this up and down. And of course, this is also her hair tie I've used here. There's a video that talks about this kind of fabric for hair tie. This I also like, it's flexible, manageable. Some are very stiff. And my video talks more about that. So I'm still talking about the up and down and my mother's pieces. And then I'll go into some of my pieces. The first one I talked about had to do with how patriotic my mother was, and those two designs, I think, were specially ordered. Now I'm coming to this design that may look more like what we've been seeing with Ashoke Kente, but this is on cotton. I'm still trying to do the research to really find out where these were done. So this is from my trousseau and this is my mother's. So I'm going to model both for you. Look at the design. Now, when you look at the design of these particular types of up and down. So come along again. This is the full length up and down. Remember I told you about they adding the fabric here. In her days, I even think in ours, they always believed then that this was the smaller yardage and this yardage would be big. So when they wrapped it, you were full on the hip. So that's why you see this yardage was always bigger and larger for that generation. And now it's a matter of preference. Some people in my generation, younger, may be doing that also. But look at the design I was talking about, that this now has the design. Remember, another was joined up here. Let's go to where there's no joining. You see, look at that. My guess for the design is as good as yours. Some questions I wish I asked my mother then. But you know, at that time, I wasn't thinking about this. So, hey, that's how it is. That's why I'm doing this for posterity. So I'm also going to model mine just similar to this in design for my trousseau. And this is the one from my trousseau. I just dressed it up a little bit with jewelry and the gele also. This is a different texture, a stiffer texture from the other one. Again, you see my video on gele, but look at the pattern on the fabric. It reminds me of some of the patterns with the Ashoke or the Kente, some of the woven fabric. On the back, however, look, that pattern is not showing. So I'm curious about this. So it's just thread overlay, I assume. Now, in Nigeria, sometimes we call this up and down George. And I'll show you the fabric. There's some connection with India when you talk about the Indian fashion sense. I'm not quite sure with that. I'm still doing research on that. But this was in my trousseau when I got married. And here is the full length, and I tied it a different way. Remember I told you tying is a stylistic issue. Now I chose this particular George because this is Asoebi. Asoebi is like the uniform. We have a Nigerian organization here. This is the uniform the women chose one year to celebrate Independence Day. We are from different ethnic groups, but we made that decision to wear up and down one year. And so here again, the pattern I told you about, to just look at it, and you'll see my video explaining more, because there are many variations. I have different variations of this, what we call George. We understood when we said George before, this is what you're wearing. But there are many variations, and we also do the up and down with Ankara fabric, depending on where you're coming from in Nigeria or in other countries of Africa. And this is another of this type of design I just showed you that may resemble the Ashoke or Kente. My sister, so I chose this for my brother's wedding. This has been about 30 something years ago, still so beautiful. But if you look, this is woven. Remember I told you the other one, cotton? This is woven. It's not repeated on the back either, like some of the ashokes I've shown you. So the thread overlay on the fabric, and it's beautiful. It has how many colors? 1, 2, 3, and then the bottom color. And I think, did I count the white? Maybe 4. Okay. I just wanted to show this design also that kind of relates to the other two I showed you. I want to talk about the next fabric for up and down. A lighter one with the chiffon-like feel, but with beading, lots of beading. Let me bring it close to you. Now, let me model this for you. And this is the other fabric. You know, with the up and down, some people just wear it with the blouse over this down, and then they fold this. They just fold it and hang it over their hands with their handbag. Again, it's up to you and the kind of event you're going and how you want to style your piece, your outfit for that event. So here's this fabric, lighter. This fabric, my big sister saw her selected for the wedding of my beautiful niece, Ogogo. Now, this is not the blouse we use. No, is this the hair tie? I'm just using this. But the emphasis for this video is on the up and down, showing the evolution. Remember, I came from what my mother wore. Okay, I'm not even sure my grandmother wore up and down. It was more fashionable to the younger generation from her, and that generation was my mother. And now, what is happening today in this evolution, you see a lot of designers now taking this softer one and draping it as a piece. Sometimes you see it draped in the back when you're looking at the brides of today, or draped to the side, just sewn on. And this down is a skirt. It could be a mermaid type or just a straight line skirt. So we're seeing so many things now. We're much more versatile with how this is worn. And I will model one. This right here, maybe it was already here for many years, but 2008 is when we used this for the wedding. And then I'll also show you what another organization I belong to used for a luncheon. And this is the other one. Purple, yes, just coincidental. There are so many colors of this type of fabric in the marketplace, boutiques, etc. But here is when the skirt came in. Instead of, remember we have the up and down. So instead of the down being a wrap, it became a skirt. And we made the decision in my association to make it this type of a little mermaid-like, because of the fabric, it would not fall stiff, but it draped down. And then we had the up. Now, I'm not wearing the same blouse. We chose one of raw silk of this color. And right now, remember, I'm decluttering. I'm not quite sure where it is. And so here, the draping has started. You could drape it, you could tie it different ways and just drape it. And the fabric lends itself to that type of draping. So, what we are seeing today, the evolution of the up and down, we see it in the fashion, in what our children or grandchildren are now wearing for their weddings, and how this is done differently by the designers. This is not the top. We wore with this, like I said, no, the headgear, but I'm just wearing this. The emphasis for this video is on up and down. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video. If you like this video, please share with others. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to comment. So the fabrics we looked at today with up and down Georges, look at it. This. The horse, this beading. The trend now definitely is for beading. So this is where we are with the up and down. Please make sure you watch other videos about so many connections that I talked about here, and other videos just connecting what I'm talking about here. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you in my next video.